Good morning. My talk is about the future of mining in Australia and exploration in particular. It's become a difficult time in Australia for many businesses, and exploration and mining are no different. So to start off with, I'd like to give a bit of a historical perspective on mining, quickly touch on that, and move on to a more modern situation. So the relationship of mankind to mining is as old as mankind itself. In fact, the great periods of human development have actually been named after the implements and tools used in those days. For example, Stone Age was a time when man first developed stone tools, and the knowledge of the day was held by the witch doctors who knew where the best stone sources were. The Stone Age was followed by the Bronze Age, and the Bronze Age introduced international commerce for the first time in non-perishable goods, and microanalysis of Persian artefacts of Bronze Age show there's Malaysian and Cornish tin in those artefacts. So people were trading in tin particularly very, very early on. The Iron Age followed the Bronze Age, and that's the age that we are now coming to the end of. And the Iron Age has seen essentially the Roman Empire through to modern times, the development of everything we can imagine. And as technology has advanced, so too has our need for different mineral products to satisfy those new markets. So where exploration was traditionally gold and metals, now exploration covers everything from limestone, rare earths, all sorts of. In fact, any commodity you can name, if you can find it in a pure form, there is a market for that commodity. Throughout history, though, one commodity has been the most important commodity in terms of human development, and that commodity is gold by a long shot. In fact, a lot of the great migrations of humankind have been attributed to gold, and gold rushes, as they were called. For example, the invasion of South America was really a gold rush of a different type, where the difference between being a pirate or a captain of industry was really who you gave your gold to when you got back to England. If you bought yourself a peerage or whether you didn't buy yourself a peerage with it. The Great Californian Gold Rush saw the population of America go up by nearly a quarter, up to 25 million from about 16 million, just on that one gold rush. The Gold Rush of Alaska was another great gold rush, and it's one of the inherent dangers of gold rushes is that it is estimated that about 100,000 people set out for Alaska from America, and only about 30,000 arrived. So most of them didn't actually make it there. Now, the development of Australia can really be described as pre-gold rush and post-gold rush. Prior to the gold rush of central Victoria, Australia was a poorly considered colony of England, somewhat useful as a dumping ground for petty criminals, and a kind of okay place to raise a few sheep. That really England was on the verge of giving Australia away. It had no real interest in Australia. But the gold rushes of mid-1850s changed that picture considerably. And I should point out that that was the first major gold rush to Australia. It was not the first gold discovered in Australia, which was actually at Bathurst, just out in the Blue Mountains there. But the Gold Discovery Committee, and I'll read this as a quote, in 1854 wrote, "The discovery of the Victorian goldfields has converted a remote dependency into a country of worldwide fame. It has attracted a population extraordinary in number with unprecedented rapidity. It has enhanced the value of property to an enormous extent. It has made this the richest country in the world, and in less than 3 years it has done for this colony the work of an age, and made its impulses felt in the most distant regions of the earth." So prior to gold being discovered in Australia, there really wasn't much to write home about. But with the gold rush, everything changed. Gold rushes have occurred now through all parts of Australia, into Queensland, Northern Territory, Western Australia. The most recent and last was into Tennant Creek in about 1909, where people walked across the deserts with wheelbarrows to get to the gold. And the beauty of gold, of course, is it's a natural metal. It occurs as a metal. It's only one of 3 or 4 naturally occurring metals. You can carry a wealth of it in your pocket. You don't need a lot of infrastructure to recover it in those forms. And so it's a suitable, valuable commodity that any individual could just go out and find with willpower and labour. So that's why gold was so highly sought. The other thing about gold rushes was that they bring to your country a lot of people who would not normally come. And then prior to that, most of the population of Australia was English, a few Irish, and a few Germans. With the gold rush came a plethora of people from all around the world who have brought to inland Australia, particularly, different cultures, and have contributed to the Australian way and what we call the Australian spirit. And for example, in the last gold rush into Cannon Creek, of the 840 odd registered miners there, over 600 were in fact Chinese. If you look at Northern Territory names now, there's a lot of Italian names, a lot of Greek names. When someone plays football, the Riolis. You've all seen those Aboriginal words running around with the name of Rioli. That's not an Aboriginal name. And you've seen the R Kits and the R Toys and the R Howells. They're all good Chinese names. They're all Aboriginal people today. Now that shows that the melting pot of cultures get together around goldfields, and that was all made Australia what it is. So whilst gold has been important to Australia, the real change to Australia came from other mineral commodities. And while it's said often at school that Australia rode to wealth on the back of a sheep's back, that's not really true. Australia rode to the wealth on the backs of mineral deposits and primary production. And one of the places I did work earlier, when I was graduated early on, was at Broken Hill. And I'd like to use Broken Hill as an example of all those towns that exist in non-coastal Australia that owe their existence to mining. And if you actually look at those towns, in inland Australia, there really is very little other than those towns, except a few small towns which were stage posts for the old Cobb and Go days, telegraph stations from the old wired telegraphs. They had little towns associated with them. But most of the major towns in inland Australia actually owe their heritage to mining. And I suggest to you, where would Australia be without Kalgoorlie, Mount Isaac, Broken Hills, Cobar, Bathurst, Parks, all those towns, Charters, Towers, Hallsbury, I could name towns all day. All those main towns in Central Australia, non-coastal Australia, each has a history, each has contributed to the Australian way, and each of those towns represents wealth and the development of Australia. So looking at Broken Hill as an example of one of those towns, because I worked there, Broken Hill was discovered in 1883 by Charles Rast, a boundary rider who was just out inspecting fences, and he and 6 of his mates got together and set up the Broken Hill Proprietary Limited, which is nowadays the second biggest, arguably the second biggest mining company in the world. As an interesting note on that, the wealthy Sid Kidman was actually offered a position to become part of that, and he declined it. His interests were not in mining, but he did lend it to the early miners 10 bullocks to help them haul their ore, and for that he was given a consideration of £40, which was, in those days, that's probably a reasonable coin. And a couple of years later, he sold that for £150 and considered he'd done extremely well with his investment. Prior to 1939, and this is something Professor Stevenson touched on, Broken Hill was a lead and silver mine. The silver was so rich that they actually cut it out of the drives with axes as a native metal. And if you go to the museum in Broken Hill now, there are actually big blocks of silver that have been intricately carved. It was a single block of silver that's been hand carved. It's very rare to find silver as a native metal, but it does occur, and that's one of the places you can see it. Broken Hill's given birth to 3 major companies: BHP Billiton, as I mentioned earlier, North Broken Hill, which developed into the Pasminco and then became part of Glencore, and another company which, strangely enough, there was a company based in London called Rio Tinto, and Rio Tinto mined copper in Spain, and they set up a company called Consolidated Zinc, based on the technology that Professor Stevenson mentioned was developed in Australia on recovering zinc. So they went to Broken Hill and started treating the old ores, which were already crushed and ground, and had the lead and silver removed, but they left the zinc behind. And that company became Consolidated. They set up Consolidated Zinc, and so successful was that company, they actually did a reverse takeover of Rio Tinto, and that became CRA, Conzinc Rio Tinto Australia, and then with a name change, that is now Rio Tinto Zinc. So that actually came from
the proceeds of Broken Hill. So the biggest mining company in the world and the second biggest mining company in the world both came from Broken Hill. So profitable was Broken Hill that Australia's first referendum was actually on whether Broken Hill would be placed in South Australia or New South Wales. That hence with the wealth and such importance to the states that revenue come to them. And as a side issue, and I'll quickly touch on the bosses wanted Broken Hill to be part of part of South Australia, but the miners, who are obviously anti-management, voted to put it in New South Wales because the bosses wanted it to be in South Australia. So the South Australian Railway Company stopped at the railway at the border 18 miles short of the mine. So Broken Hill Consolidated had to set their own railway company to build the last 18 miles of railway to get the rail to Broken Hill to ship the ore to South Australia. That's how it goes. But Broken Hill was also the birthplace of the trade union movement in an organised form. Prior to that, there'd been just enterprise-based unions or guilds. But at Broken Hill, they set up the Barrier Industrial Council where all the guilds were represented under one management, and that was the forerunner to the ACTU. Someone this morning over here mentioned terrorism. At the time, Broken Hill was actually the first scene of the first terrorist attack in Australia. In 1915, two Afghan Cameleers objected to our fighting the Ottoman Empire in the First World War, and they shot up the main street of Broken Hill, killing 4 people and wounding 6 more. Well, they were shot dead themselves. So, Broken Hill has had a long history. Broken Hill also provided the felspar that was crushed up to make the heat shields on the space shuttle. So a lot of things have come out of Broken Hill but that's the example of all those sorts of towns in Central Australia that have contributed so much to the Australian way of life. And I'm sure if you went to Ballarat or Bendigo or Castlemaine or any of those towns, you would find somebody who knew the history of those towns just as well as Broken Hill, and each one of those has contributed. New South Wales enticed Broken Hill to be in New South Wales by offering a double deductibility on the cost of exploration. So every company develops a new technique, goes to Broken Hill to test it, because if you spend $1 million testing a technique in Broken Hill, you can claim $2 million off your tax. That still exists. So that's why a lot of companies actually have tenements in Broken Hill still, for that reason alone. So Australia and internal development of Australia was largely based on mineral wealth, and we have some fantastic deposits out there. We really do. But of late, things have not been going so well. In fact, things have been going very, very poorly, and I'd like to demonstrate that by giving you some ABS figures. One of the measures that the ABS collects from mining companies is how much you spend on exploration, and obviously without exploration you don't find mines, without finding new mines to replace those you're mining, you run out of mines fairly quickly. And to give you an example, comparing the figures from 5 years ago with figures from today, South Australia, they're now spending 20% of what they previously spent. It's down from $90 million to $18 million. New South Wales, about half of what was previously being spent. Victoria, Tasmania, it's just not even worth mentioning. There is no exploration in Tasmania, pretty much period. They're down less than 20%. But the really disturbing ones are the big mining states of Western Australia and Queensland. And Western Australia is down from 603 million down to 200 million, which is only 38% of the previous expenditure. In Queensland, 249 million down to just 43 million, which is only 17% expenditure. And of that expenditure, most is being done on what we call brownfields. That is, coal miners exploring near their own coal mine, iron ore exploring near their own iron ore mines. They're not doing greenfields, finding new deposits. They're just expanding their resources in front of as they mine. So it is logged as exploration, but it's not really going to find any new mines. But also, might hear some of you say something like, oh, but didn't we just have a mining boom? Well, no, we didn't. What we had was a stock market rally based on cheap oil and good export dollars for coal and iron ore. So at the moment, they're the commodities to have, and we have them, so that's fine. But that gave the appearance of a mining boom. That mining boom didn't translate to anything on the ground, really. There was no new mining exploration activity. And I just put it out to you now, and we're all capable of reading the papers and watching the news. Can anybody name one major significant mineral discovery in Australia in the last 10 years? The last one I can remember is the Tanami Goldfields, and that was 18 years ago. We're still mining coal. Yeah, that was a purely stock market play, that was. So that's how it works. So Australia didn't have a mining boom. We had a stock market rally. We had some very low oil prices, and we had some good export value on our coal and oil, coal and iron ore. But we haven't been doing exploring very well at all. There's another, as an adjunct to that, I should mention that because Australia has so many good deposits, it used to be a place that attracted a lot of foreign investment. There's a saying in the exploration game, which is something along the lines of, if you want to catch an elephant, you've got to go to where elephants live, which means you've got to go to Africa or India. And if you're an exploration company and you're trying to find kangaroos, you can search Africa all you want. You're not going to find a kangaroo. They live in Australia. So because we have deposits of a certain style, and because our country is very broad, both in age and in width, and we have a large number of environments, geologically and temporally, you can find a lot of stuff here. So Australia really should be attracting foreign investment in mining and exploration to Australia. But the figures that you're seeing on exploration expenditure are not translating into that at all. It's just not happening. So I need to talk now about the current difficulties mining is facing. And when I say mining, I do include exploration in that. It's a process. One can't exist without the other. And there are five main factors, and I'm going to touch on these by giving you an anecdotal story from my own experience that highlights the problems of each of these factors. The first one is, and these are in no particular order, Aboriginal issues are a problem. Government decisions are often unfathomable. Public service bureaucracy is rampant. Environmental issues is a broad category. And Australian wage, labour and work expectations and work conditions have become a major problem. Collectively, these issues are called sovereign risk. And there's an institute called the Fraser Institute that sends out a questionnaire every 3 months, every quarter, to people that were in my position of exploration manager. And they ask you to fill out a question, you submit your results, and they collate the data. And Australia was always 1 or 2 to Canada. So Canada was 1 and we were 2, or next time out we'd be 1 and they'd be 2, always. Australia now on the Fraser Institute ranking has dropped to 47th. That's not 47th in number, it's 47th band. So there's a number of countries, above that. Which means we're ranking behind Kazakhstan. We're now worse off than Uzbekistan, India, Indonesia, Mongolia. All of Southeast Asia is considered to be more attractive. All of South America, with one exception, Venezuela, which is just a basket case. And pretty much all of Sub-Saharan Africa, with 1 or 2 exceptions. So really, the only places which are considered worse to go exploring now are the Middle East and North Africa. And that's because of some of the factors I mentioned above, which I'm going to go through now. I should also point out how exploration works very briefly. Generally, it starts with the board of directors who nominate a commodity. They say, we want to find X. They pass that decision to the exploration manager, who then, with his people and his team, select where you're going to go. And as I said, if you want to find elephants, go to Africa. If you want to find kangaroos, explore in Australia. Step 3 is you lodge an exploration licence application, and in the different states, and it's important to note that mineral rights are vested in the states, not the Commonwealth. You lodge an application for a ground, or what's called an authority to prospect, exploration licence, mineral tenement, they're all the same thing. You'll then be granted your tenement, and that tenement will come to you with a series of conditions. Examples of conditions might be things like, if you're in a water catchment for a particular town or something, there might be, you can only use biodegradable chemicals, you've got to put in runoff control, you've got to backfill your water holes with concrete to make sure you don't contaminate the waterways, etc., etc. All standard, very manageable sorts of conditions. And if you comply with those conditions and you found something, and it's about 1 in 1,000 times that you'll find something that's worth it in developing to the next stage, not to a mine, but to the next stage of exploration, is you lodge for a mineral licence. That's a mining licence, a licence to allow you to establish a mine. And as part of that, you then submit a whole pile of documents to the various government agencies, environmental wage documents, all that. It's collectively called the mine management plan, how you want to operate your mine. If you have obeyed the conditions of your exploration licence, normally it's a fait accompli that you will be granted a mineral licence with conditions. And previously those conditions were kind of manageable. Of late, those conditions that have been placed on them have become so onerous now and so expensive. Government, and this is part of the government decisions I've mentioned, that it's become almost impossible to open a mine in Australia. So let me start with the Aboriginal issues, which started back in 1976 with the Whitlam government, under the Land Rights Act, the Northern Territory Sacred Sites Act, and then more recently in 1992 the Mabo decision. Now, if you think I'm going to have a go at Aboriginals, I'm not. I've lived and worked with Aboriginals for most of my life in Central Australia, and I can tell you straight out, they were lied to. They were absolutely lied to by the government. They were told, here's your land, with your land will come wealth. Build things, enterprises, develop infrastructure. Wealth will follow with your land. How? How many people have, you've all probably driven up the highway to Darwin or Alice Springs. How do you make money out of land like that? It doesn't rain, mostly sand. It grows a few stunted bits of spinifex, a few bits of saltbush. If you're lucky enough to have an Ayers Rock on your land, well, okay, you're going to get a bit of tourism. What do the rest of them get? And some of these poor buggers, they went out there, they built little communities, and they gave them names like Utopia. You don't believe me? Look up the map about 120 k's north and east of Alice Springs. There's a town called Utopia. I can't imagine anything worse or less like Utopia in my life. If you were really back to they call it Dante's Inferno, I can't understand, but Utopia. It's just, these poor buggers are out there who have no jobs, their fathers haven't worked, their grandfathers haven't worked, their sons have not worked, their grandsons are never going to work. There is no jobs. There's nothing out there, and there never will be. The governments can't provide services. How can you provide services to a town of 20 people, 30 people, who come and go? They did. The government built houses and then just left these people there. Here's your house in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere, the edge of the Simpson Desert, and said, wealth will come. How? How's that wealth going to get there? Of course, they told mining will bring wealth, but hang on, mines are quite small in their footprint. They're not going to affect the whole of Central Australia. They make a spot here or there, but not the whole of Central Australia. So the Aboriginals, I won't have a go at, but unfortunately the government set up a thing called the Land Councils. The Central Land Council, the Northern Land Council, there's the Western Areas Land Council. Let's settle throughout Australia. And it was their role to try and negotiate with interested parties, land users, mining industries, outcomes for Aboriginal people that would be beneficial to Aboriginal people. All they are is it's just a huge bureaucracy that does very, very little. And in fact, all I can tell you about the Central Land Council, for example, is the most expensive building that's been built in Alice Springs ever happens to belong to the Central Land Council. The poor buggers are supposed to get into that money. They don't get squat. They get to sit under the trees and do squat. And you have a bunch of anthropologists, lawyers, and activists running around Alice Springs trying to find a cause to champion and doing very little. But to give you an example from my own experience, when the Mabo decision was first passed down in 92, a shock went through the mining industry because we didn't know then if your exploration titles were going to be worth anything. As it turned out, they were. The Mabo decision was quite sensible, and it's quite workable. It's not a problem. This has happened in Canada and New Zealand. The mining industry can deal with these problems. They're just another layer of things to be dealt with. It's not an end in itself. But in 92, you've already heard of the town Uendamu. Liam Jarrett, the football player from Melbourne, who was in trouble recently, came from Uendamu. That's one of the larger Aboriginal towns. But in 92, they set up a thing called the Uendamu Mining Company. That company was 100% owned by Aboriginal people, with the blessing of the elders, fully registered, fully incorporated company. They took out a whole pile of exploration licences on their own land. So Aboriginal company with Aboriginal directors, Aboriginal workers, Aboriginal people took out licences on Aboriginal land. They then hunted around for mining companies who might be interested in doing joint ventures with them. They came to us in Cannon Creek, and we said, well, actually, it sounds like a good idea. What could go wrong? It's Aboriginal land, Aboriginal people. They've got the land, we've got the money. Sounds good. So we did a joint venture deal with them. And the deal we did, we were told from on high by Robert Champion Discrepancy in Adelaide, was do a fair deal. So we did. The deal we did was they bring 100% of the land, we bring 100% of the money. After 2 years, we'll spend $1 million a year on their land for 50% of the licence. At that point, it'll be 50-50. For every person that we employ in a non-professional capacity, labourers, drillers, etc., we would employ one of their people at exactly the same terms and conditions as our people, house them the same, feed them the same, everything like that. If the project got past the second year, then for every extra $1 million we spent on exploration, they would reduce their interest by 10% down to the last 10%, which would be free carry no matter what we spent. So if we developed the mine, they would own 10% of it, have guaranteed employment. It was a good deal. It was, for Aboriginal people that had nothing, it was a great deal. We worked on that land for about 2 years, didn't find anything, had some great times with those guys. They were really keen to learn and work. And on about the third year, we actually found up a gold prospect just outside Barra Creek, where you've heard in the news where that young lady from England and her husband had a bit of a problem. Nice deposit, which was worth going to the next stage and diminishing them. But before we did that, as part of the Land Rights Act, you need to get your agreement with the Aboriginal people registered as part of the Central Aboriginal Land Rights Act. You have to have an agreement with the Aboriginal people, it's called a land use agreement, it has to be registered with the government. Part of that process is to have a meeting with the elders. You sit under the trees and you talk and you just tell them what you're going to do. They say what they want, etc., etc. The CLC then comes along and says, yeah, that's a good deal. They stamp it, and that deal is the deal you're going to operate under whilst the mine develops. So we organised that meeting, no problem. We sat there with the Aboriginal people and the elders that we knew, and I won't mention their names because some of them were probably deceased. Everything went well at the meeting. Everyone was happy. We were sent away by the CLC so they could talk to the Aboriginal people in private. Everything was good. We expected no problems. We spoke to our people after the meeting, all very, very favourable, all very good. We waited back to Tennant Creek and we waited for the letter to come through from the CLC saying that our agreement had been stamped. About 3 weeks later, we got a letter saying, no, it's been rejected. Stopped on, no good. No good at all. And worse than that, the land has now been placed under, because an agreement was not reachable, that land has now gone into compulsory moratorium for 21 years. So no one can explore there now for 21 years. The reason was, and I'll get to that, but you've asked the question, I'll tell you why. It was simply, if that agreement had gone through between us and the Aboriginal people without the CLC being involved in the negotiation, they simply would have become a rubber stamp organisation. They didn't want that. They wanted to be involved in the negotiation process, and they now have a list of the things you have to do. And one of the problems we have is in the Northern Territory, they also have the Northern Territory Sacred Sites Act. And the Sacred Sites Act created the Aboriginal Areas Protection Authority. That authority is commissioned by the government to look after sacred sites in the Northern Territory. And when you get your licence granted, the first thing you do is you go to the AAPA and say, look, please do an inspection of the register. Are there any sacred sites on this land? And I'll send you back a map saying, they don't have to tell you what it is. They just send you back a map saying, a little red dot here, that these are sacred sites, stay away. They don't have to give you a reason. There is no discussion of what they are. Just stay away. And that's fine. You can live with that. That's okay. Don't go there. Right? Same as if I applied for an exploration licence on someone's farm and they had their house. Well, obviously you can't stick the rig in the middle of their bloody living room. It's the same thing. It's not a problem. Just deal with it. And for that, you pay a small fee. Later on, if you want to develop a mine, you actually have to get a sacred sites clearance done, and they are the authority under law vested with that power. So they actually consult with the Aboriginal people. They say, here's a sacred site, there's a sacred site, you can develop your mine here, but not there. And you pay a fee for that. And it's quite expensive because they go out there with their scientists, they take the Aboriginal people out there, you pay an Aboriginal about $250 a day, a young Aboriginal $100 a day, and they take the whole damn busload out there. And you organise with a farmer, put on a cow, on a keg, And do the whole, it's quite, a sacred site clearance on a small area is going to cost you 20 grand. Go on a large area is going to cost you 50 and take a year or so. The CLC, who do not have any legal basis to do that, insist that you do it. But because they are the ones that have to give the approval of the agreement, if they won't do it, or they don't do it, they won't recognise a site clearance done by the NT Sacred Sites Act people. So there's bloody contest between the two bureaucracies over who should get paid to do what work. Because the mining companies are in between, because you know legally you have to go to the NT Sacred Sites, because that's the law. But the Central Land Council will not accept their determination of what is a sacred site. So I'm going to move on to another story which bears on this, but has another bearing as well, of Coronation Hill. And then some of you have probably heard of Coronation Hill. Coronation was a large platinum deposit discovered in the Northern Territory. The exploration company involved obeyed the conditions of exploration licence to the letter. They engaged the community, everything was fine with that exploration. They went for a mining licence. The local Aboriginal people who had set up their own land council, the Shoalhaven Association, were all mad keen, go, because they wanted to build things. In fact, the Shoalhaven Association is probably one of the most progressive associations they've ever come across. They were the first to build their own Aboriginal health clinic. They built their own school. They were a very, very progressive association. They wanted Coronation Hill to go ahead, and they had done a deal with the mining company, BHP in this case, and the Northern Land Council in this case objected to it. But the Northern Territory government gave, who own the mineral rights, they're the ones who give permission to the mine, gave permission to BHP to go ahead. The NLC wanted to stop it, so they went to Canberra and they stopped Coronation Hill on the grounds of environmental issues by declaring that Coronation Hill was now suddenly in Stage 3 Kakadu National Park. So the mining company had done millions of dollars worth of exploration. The Northern Territory government were on side to go. The local Aboriginal people were on side to go. But the bureaucracy of the Northern Land Council was not happy to have that go. So they went to the federal minister who declared it part of the national park and made it Zone 3 of Kakadu and shut it down. So it's the bureaucracy of those two land councils that are holding Aboriginal people back. I should also point out at this point that the Aboriginal people are expected to live under what we would call community. They don't own the land, not individually. They don't own their houses individually. They are given permission to live in a house by their local community association, which is just a representative for another council, all out for land council. They need to be self-funding and relevant. And most of them are staffed by lawyers who want to do nothing better than find a case celebrity where they can become famous and head to Canberra as a spokesperson. So it's all about individuals. There are a few, I won't mention names, there's one you'll see who has a very big scruffy beard, always wears a hat and speaks to the Aboriginal people. No names. He is a major problem. He insists on travelling first class, always has the suite at the hotel, but carries a special bag in which he keeps his really shitty, dirty fieldwork clothing. So he puts those on and goes out bush and pretends he's, one of the boys is, out there doing the bush tucker stuff and all like that, and goes back and has an anoretic and a bloody laxative and stuffs another lobster down. That's how those people work. So the land councils themselves are a big bureaucracy, and they are a block. They are also the manager of what's known as the Aboriginal Trust Association, which is where there are successful mines operating, paying money to the Aboriginal people. It doesn't go to the Aboriginal people on the land or whose land is being affected. It goes to the trust, who then spend the money as they see fit. And the trust is set up by the land council, is managed under the Aboriginal Land Rights Act, and they use that money on all manner of important things like trips to Manitoba to discover how Indians are getting on, and New Zealand to see how the Maoris are getting on, and India, and Fraser Island, that's an important place to visit. Yes, the successful mines are Groote Eylandt, pays a considerable amount of money, so does the MacArthur River lead zinc mine, the Tanamite gold mines pop up. Quite a pretty bit of coin, yeah. We're talking millions a year. Okay, so that's examples of the Land Rights Act and the Aboriginal issues which are not related to Aboriginal people at all, but actually related to this bureaucracy of lawyers and anthropologists and Aboriginal activists who run those places. Government decisions. I'll just tell you a quick story about a place called Pamela Angela. Now, that was a uranium prospect that was discovered in Central Australia, about 27 kilometres south of Alice Springs, by CRA about 25 years ago. At the time, the Labor Party had a 3-mine policy on uranium, and so they discovered it, developed it, and then it got shut down. CRA walked away from it and said, well, we're never going to get this up, forget it, and shut it down. That was also under moratorium for 21 years. The 21 years expired about 5 or 6 years ago. The Northern Territory government then said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We can't just have a normal application process because whoever gets these licences has got a guaranteed uranium. We can make some more coin out of this. So what they do is they put a special act through Parliament called the Pamela Angela Act, whereby consortiums of companies were invited to tender to have those licences granted to them. And I won't go through the process, but several companies spent hundreds of thousands of dollars each compiling old, manually recorded hand data into modern computer systems and setting up offices and talking to people and visiting, etc. The winning group was Canadian, French and Australia. And they were successful in getting the licences, and they were, part of their conditions was community engagement and community involvement. So they moved people out from Canada and France. They set up offices in Darwin, set up offices in Alice Springs, rolled their kids in schools, did all the sorts of things that normal people would do when setting up a mining establishment in an existing town. About 3 days before the election, the Labor Party in the Northern Territory, the Labor Party undertook what was known as push poll in Alice Springs, and then published through the Centralian Advocate that most of the town of Alice Springs was against the development of the Pamela Angela deposit. So the CLP, the Liberal Party, who had granted the licences, put people through that processes, 2 days before the election, came out and said that they were not going to support the Pamela and Angela mine development. Now that company had spent about $5.5 million putting their proposal together. They'd done hydrology studies to prove that the groundwater wouldn't be affected. They'd done dust studies. They had anthropologists in there doing Aboriginal studies. They had bird people, bat people, insect people, health people, all doing their things and writing reports. I made money out of it because I collated data for them. I put a lot of their drill holes into a database for them and then went there and physically checked on the ground where they were. And just as a political decision, having spent all that money, enrolled their children in school, flown them out from France and everything, sponsored the local netball team, on a government decision overnight, there's a pure chance to win a few votes. They're not going to do it. Money going down the drain. People go home and talk about these things. Do you think that French company went back to France and said something? You don't think the Canadian companies went back to Canada and said something? These things have repercussions. And they are really hurting them. Public service bureaucracy. The last job I had, I was working for a Chinese company. We discovered a very, very good titanium deposit. It's the perfect deposit. It's just sand dunes. They're made up of about 10% heavy mineral, of which about half of that is titanium. It's just sand dunes. No blasting, no drilling. Titanium is heavy. It's a black sand. The sand is just sand. So it's an easy separation process. So the mining would simply be pick it up, take the heavy stuff out, put the sand back. That's it. No need for any chemicals, nothing more than that. What we have to do from an infrastructure point of view is build a mass separation plant and a railway site. That's all that we require. Very, very simple, low cost, easy to do mine. Worked on it 2 years, got it up to nearly to a bankable feasibility study. We spent millions on this deposit. Millions. But we were living in some, it was actually an old hotel that built way back by the station owner. And he put this when people used to stop to get fuel. And cars didn't go quite so far as they go down as a tank of fuel. So he built this little accommodation unit behind his station, which we were living in. It was pretty ramshackle and run down. So at the end of the second year, I said to the people who were with, we've got to do something about this because we're getting more people. We've got visitors coming. We can't be living in, pretty crappy conditions. We've got to spend. So we spent about $2.5 million. Completely new generators, new diesel tanks, all funding fuel tanks, new roof, new rooms, made everything nice, got some internet set up. We spent a lot of money. We got a kitchen done, all put in, new fridges, freezers. Because we had about 25 guys working for me there, I got a cook the meals. We just can't get guys to come home and cook. We're doing 10, 12-hour days. Drilling, it's a very dirty job. So we'll have decent showers, lots of hot water put on, all that sort of stuff. About halfway into the year, I got a letter. The guys had all gone on break. So we were doing 3 on, 1 off. So we worked for 3 weeks. So we do 12 to 14 hours a day, 21 days straight. Then you get 10 days off to make up for your time. And it's better that way because it means you've got enough time to actually go somewhere. 2 days off in the middle of the desert, who wants that? What do you do? So you might as well, fly out. So part of their time off was they actually got airfares to whichever city they'd come from as part of their pay. So that was those are standard fly out arrangements. I got a letter from the Northern Territory government, from the health department, shutting me down. And I drove back to Alice Springs to talk to these people. Turns out I didn't have the necessary documentation. I was apparently running a commercial kitchen. I had no idea I was running a commercial kitchen. I had a couple of drilling crews and a couple of fieldies, and we were living in dirt and we were covered in filth all day. All we do is have a change. We're working such hours that all you do is you come in, have a shower, have a feed, go to bed. Then we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're out at first light, you want to be on site at 6 o'clock. And there's nothing else to do. What else would you do? I'm running a commercial kitchen. I need to get a health inspection from the hospital. How long is that going to take? That'll take about 6 months. They have to come from Darwin, and they only come down to Central Australia twice a year. So I have to shut down for 6 months. And then it turned out, but have you done your biting insect entomology study? And I said, what the hell is a biting insect entomology study? You've got men who are working, and they're working before dawn and after dusk. They might be subject to biting insects, mosquitoes. Have I studied the mosquitoes to determine their health risks? And I'm like, shit, I'll just buy Aerogard. Now, will be sweet. No, I need to have a piece of paper. They're telling me I've done, and I said, how was that? 12 months. You've got to actually catch mosquitoes for 12 months and study what sort of mosquitoes they are. And you've got to sentinel chickens to see what diseases they catch. I mean, you're kidding me, sure. Got to have that. So that's going to take some gloss off this job. So then the next one was, I had to have a fire safety inspection as well. That's not so bad. Okay, that's fair enough. Each room's got a fire extinguisher, and if it starts to burn, we're going to, all run outside. No, I've actually got to have evacuation points. I've got to have fire marshals. I've got to have training. I can live with that. So I said to the client, look, really, we can't do it in the next 12 months until we get all this permitting in place. We've just spent $2.5 million building this camp. We're going to spend about $4 million on exploration. We've got 25 guys working for us, 2 drilling contractors. We're employing locals, and that's just a time. You can't do it. 4 months. So the clients, Chinese just don't understand that. That's just, what do you mean? Nothing for 12 months. We've got to just shut down. We can't do anything. We haven't got the right permitting. They took their money and went elsewhere. Can you blame them? All those guys lost their jobs. And that was it. That's it. Boom. So now it sits out there in the desert. The mining boom that was is gone. The money that was available through that stock market rally is gone. It just sits there now. Environmental issues. When I first started off, we had to do a thing called a substantial disturbance report. Now that was if you were going to take a bulldozer through the bush or something like that, you had to tell the government you're going to do that. You couldn't just go ripping the countryside up. You tell them you're going to do so many kilometres of road, so many drill pads, so much area, and what your rehabilitation was going to be. Smooth it all back out, rip it all up so it's not all hard and impacted, push the trees back over so it doesn't blow away, put in some drainage control, and that was pretty much it. And you're only talking about areas the size of this room, the whole of the Northern Territory. It's not really a very big area at all. Given that the banana farmers can take two bulldozers, put 150 metres of chain in between them and a big ball, and just clear thousands of acres and burn it all. So the farmers can do it, but if a miner wants to cut down a single tree, oh good God, look out. The substantial disturbance report has morphed now into a full mine management plan, even at the exploration stage. The mine management plan, I've got to actually tell them how many people I'm going to employ, what my internal rate of return is going to be, what my discounted cash flow is going to be, what my taxable position will be. I haven't discovered anything yet. Haven't done a damn thing, haven't even drilled a hole. But I've got to have all that. I've got to have my biting insect entomology report. I haven't started yet. I haven't been there. No one's actually been on the ground. I've got to have that. How am I going to get that? Who's going to pay for that sort of thing? I used to write the environmental part myself. No, not anymore. No. Now I've got to engage a government recognised and certified environmental scientist to write the environmental report that I haven't been to yet. I still haven't been there. I've got doors before I go. Can't even go there and kick a rock anymore. I've got to do that. Now, they say, oh, we know you're going to do some environmental damage, therefore you've got to lodge a deposit list to clean up. This comes from the Range uranium mine disaster. That was just after the Second World War, when the Australian Army engaged in mining to dig up uranium for the British to build the nuclear bombs which they dropped back in Maryland anyway. So we gave them what they did in those days was they took the uranium runoff hose and just tossed it in the Finnish River. No tailings dams, no nothing. So that left kind of a mess behind it. It had nothing to do with any mining company. It was the Australian government that did that. But the mining was just being held responsible. And that's held up as an example of what mining companies will do if they're left to do it. It was 1950s. There was no social media. No one. You wouldn't get away with that now for 5 seconds if you tried something like that. But because of that, you've got to lodge a deposit. So they say, oh, we think you might do this. And we say, well, it's going to cost me $1,000 a day to hire a loader with fuel and an operator. So for rehabilitation, I'll say $1,000 a day to hire the same machine to put it back to life and reckon it over and probably fix up in a day. Oh, no. You might go broke. You might run away. So it's going to have to be a bond set at government rates to do the job. So I can do a loader at the end of the day, it costs them $5,000. And I've got to lodge a bond. That's still haven't been there. Still haven't been there. Still haven't done any work. But now I've required to lodge a bond to do the work on the place I haven't been to yet. Then they say, oh, but hang on, even when you've done the rehabilitation, weeds might grow 5 or 10 years later. So we're not going to give you money back for 5 to 10 years. We're going to hold it in an interest-free account. Oh, we'll give it back to you in 5 or 6 or 7 years when we get around to it. But while they're holding your money, you've still got to do the rehabilitation. So now you've lodged $250,000 with them, you've got to spend $250,000 to wait 5 years to get your $250,000 back. Now how's that going to work? Seriously, who's going to do that? What sort of investment is that? That's where it stops. And you wonder why people aren't doing it. Well, I can think of a reason. Wage and labour costs. We are just not competitive on a global scene with countries which are desperate to attract foreign investment. We are not attractive anymore. The young blokes, and I know this is not rules to start having a go at young blokes, but Jesus, they want internet movies downloadable every day. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, where you're paying maybe $100 a day for your NBN, or $100 a month for your NBN plan, if you go to Telstra and tell them we have no infrastructure whatsoever but a diesel generator, we want the satellite uplink, they charge you $30,000 a month to have that. So you say, Jesus, I want the 2 megabyte plan. All I want that thing for is emergency phone calls. If I have to get an ambulance in here, I want to apply the RFDS in straight away. That's it. That's what I want. Oh, we want to download movies. One of my mates who was running an iron ore exploration project in Roper River made the mistake of not putting a stop on the email downloads, on the internet downloads. People were downloading movies and it was costing him $700 a day per movie downloaded. When he turned it off, they went on strike. Such is their expectation. The other big one that changed really dramatically was the introduction of the GST in 2000. Because prior to the GST, states competed with states to attract investment revenue. Because that's how they got their money. So if you were doing exploration and you discovered something on their land, on the state in that state, they would get a royalty. And that royalty is either a profit-based royalty or a flat fee. So Western Australia has a flat fee. Northern Territory, it's a profit-based royalty, which leads to all manner of profit shifting and all sorts of shenanigans in the accounting department. But nonetheless, the state gets a royalty. With the GST and the revenue coming from the GST, the states don't care anymore. Why worry about royalties when you're getting more money through the GST and not having to spend it to support a mining? Why spend money attracting the mining industry when you don't have to? And you actually look at the revenue in 2000, projected figures for next year in royalties. New South Wales is one of the losers. It gets 88 cents in the dollar of GST revenue. Victoria, 93 cents in the dollar. And Western Australia, 34 cents in the dollar. That's what they're going to get out of their GST revenue. The rest of the states are bloody basket cases. Queensland, $1.19 for every dollar they raise. They're not so bad. South Australia, $1.50 for every dollar they raise. Tasmania, $1.78 for every dollar they raise. And the Northern Territory, $4.66 for every dollar of revenue it raises through the GST. So how does the GST directly measure in the mining industry? No doubt you've all heard recently of the fly-in, fly-out phenomenon. So how did that happen? Mining companies don't want to do it. It's bloody expensive flying all these people around the country, so I can tell you. Every bugger wants to be a member of the Qantas Club for a start, and there's this on that. They all want to fly, in nice air-conditioned planes with their own clothes. They want to go to nice camps which look like Club Med. No one's going to live in a tent. They all want nice stuff. It's expensive. How did that happen? Well, because when you get for a mining licence, I told you they add conditions to those licences now, which have become ridiculous. The state governments used to build towns like Broken Hill and Mount Isa. They used to build those sorts of towns. They used to provide schools and police and ambulances and all the stuff that would come with them. And people would move and build supermarkets. They put that all on the mining companies. If you want to build a town out there, you employ the police. You build the school. You build the hospital. We're not doing it. Our money's got to be spent on more important things. Whatever they spend their money on. But they're not building towns out there. So they put it on the mining companies. Do you know what that costs to build an entire town? Billions of dollars to build a town. Infrastructure, the power supply, diesel. Diesel you burn to run a whole town on diesel? You can't do it. To build a hospital, to take on the responsibility for all the pregnant women, having to provide medical services to them. It's not an easy thing to do. But the state government's completely said on the mining lease conditions, you will do that. The mining company said, no, we won't. And fly in, fly out. What does that mean? It means Central Australia is dying. The banks are shutting and moving out. The businesses that would have got, the tyre sales guy that used to sell tyres to our mining fleet doesn't sell tyres anymore. The bulldozer guy who used to repair the bulldozers, the hydraulics guy who used to fix hydraulics. They're not there now. The accountants who used to do the tax return of the miners who lived in the towns out there, they're not there anymore. Central Australia is dying. The only towns that are growing are Alice Springs and the other Aboriginal industry towns. They were getting millions of dollars, billions of dollars a year pumped into them to run various legal aid services, medical aid facilities. There, we're making money. But all those towns, those other remote towns, unless they've got a distinct tourist attraction, they're dying. So that's what's happened to the mining industry in Australia. People are not investing money here. People are not coming here. The bureaucracy is killing it. Even if you follow the conditions, the government can just take it off you any old time they want, despite what you've done and what you've spent. And when you're competing for funds on an international basis with countries in South America who will build a road to your mine, give you free power, let you build a port, help you build a port, we're not competitive at all. The South Australian electricity situation can actually be attributed to the same sort of cost. South Australian governments, why should we provide power? Someone else can do that and we'll spend our money elsewhere. And that's what they're doing. State governments are now spending their money relying on the fact that other states are going to provide the revenue to them. And the revenue calculation is such that it's almost impossible to change. So as the states of Western Australia and Queensland, Northern Territory, which are the mining states, do less and less mining and generate less real money, new money, not the same money goes round and round in circles, Australia's going to suffer difficult times, really difficult times. So in conclusion, for us in this room, we're not going to see much of a problem. You know, coal is good, iron is good now, they're good. Our children, coal, that's still going to be okay. It's getting cut back, as you know. There are alternative energy sources coming on power. Iron, a lot of pressure now from recycling and other uses, other metals. As cars become more battery powered, you're not going to be pulling them out of iron anymore. You'll be pulling out of lighter aluminium, different metals. Our grandkids, Australia will not be the country that it is today because coal won't be that interesting. Iron, that's the like uses, but it won't be not in the same league that it is now. And without those generating new income or primary income, every time somebody buys a fridge, every time somebody buys a litre of fuel nowadays, all that money is going overseas. The bucket's only so deep, and one day the bucket's going to be empty. And we're not doing the work to replace the contents of the bucket. Thank you.